All right, good morning. We're going to go over our Chapter 1 test. I'm going to take you through step by step how to solve each one of the problems. So we'll start with question 1. The manager at Chick-fil-A wants to take a survey of the number of waffle fries included in each meal. He counts the number of fries on every 10th meal served. The population would be all waffle fries served, in each meal. We got all kinds of different answers. Is this based on a sample? Yes. And he counts the number of fries on every 10th meal. So the variable, when he's counting, he counts the number of fries. That's the thing that's being counted or measured. Question 2, we did pretty well in this. Ice cream variable is a categorical. And then the height percentile would be a numerical variable. All right, on to the next one. So question number 3, we have 2 weighted average problems. So here you have to figure out how much money does she spend, in total, and then divide that by the total coats. All right, so to figure this out, right, you would have 10 times 65 plus 30 times 70 plus 40 times 80 plus 15 times 85. And you're going to divide that by the total number of coats. So she buys 10, 30, 40, 50. So what's that? 40 and 40, right? This is 10, 40, 80, 95 total. So dividing that by 95. And when you do that, you get 75.06. That's how much her average cost per coat is. All right, the next question, we had to set up an equation and solve it. So we have Rebecca. She has a business. She resurfaces broken phone screens. She makes 50 on week 1. So week 1, she makes 50. Okay, week 2, she makes 70. And then we are worried, we're thinking about what does she make week 3 and week 4. Okay, so we have to set up a weighted average here because we have 2 weeks where we don't know what she makes. So she has to have an average of 75. So we'd have week 1 and week 2, right? And then the 3rd and 4th week are right here, 2x, because we don't know what this is. Divided by the total number of weeks. 4 is the total number of weeks, and that has to be equal to $75, right? So this is the equation we would set up and we would solve step by step. So step number 1, we multiply both sides by 4. Sometimes some students call that cross multiply. So we get 300 on this side. We would combine up the 50 and 70. I saw a lot of students put 50 and 70 and 2 together or different stuff here. That's not quite it. So we have 120 plus 2x. And we would just be solving this step by step. So divided by, subtract 120, subtract 120. That gets subtracted 2x equal to 300 minus 120, which is, I want to say 180. 180, divide both sides by 2, and x is equal to 90, okay? So she needs to make $90 each week for the last 2 weeks. Okay, how are we doing on time here? Okay, good. That's how much she needs to make. All right, some students said 180. That's fine. I took that also. All right, Miguel tracked how much sleep you got for 50 nights. So the total number of nights is 50. So we try to figure out a percent. We're dividing by 50. What percent of the time did he get 8 hours or more? So we have here, this is 11 and 2 and 2. So we'd be adding 11 plus 2 plus 2. Okay, adding those up. So that's 11, 11, and then 13, and then 15. So 15 divided by 50. And that's going to give us 0.3 or 30%. Okay, next question. In which interval is the median amount of sleep? So he has 50 nights, so the median amount is going to be around the location, 50 divided by 2 or 25. So So obviously he can't get 25 hours of sleep in one night, so that's not the answer. You want to come over to your stacks here and see which stack gives us that 25. So I'm just kind of marking off what each one is. So if I go through, I look at my first two stacks, I have 11. That is not a 25, right? Not a 25 yet. Okay, then our next stack, we have 11 and 12. So 11 plus 12 is 10, and 10 makes 20. 23. That is not at 25, so it's not here, not here, not here. But if we add on this very last stack, right, we add this in, somewhere in here, we're gonna have our median. So the median is between 7.5 and 8 hours of sleep. Okay? All right, our next question, we have a table here, right? First up, find the mean. All right, the mean is the x bar, and the standard deviation, sample standard deviation, that's Sx, right? So this was just using your calculator. So you put all this data into your calculator. I already did that here. All right, we want to go to stat, and then edit, and then look at our one variable statistics. All right, calculate. All right, so we have our x and our x bar, so we can kind of just look at each of these things, right? Our x, right here. Okay, our x bar, boom, that's totally different than what we got. So I'm thinking we made a mistake. We made a boo-boo here. So let's see, we have 18. Yep, that's a mistake I think a lot of students made here. That first number, it's 18,000, right? I saw that mistake kind of made a lot. So 18, boom, 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 okay? And then we would go to stat, over to calculate, do the same thing, calculate one variable statistics. Boom, 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 and we're done. And let's see. So we have all this stuff. And, right, our x bar is 550, right? So we're going to send that to the current page. That's our first answer, 550. That's our mean, okay? And our sample standard deviation, we can just get right from here. That's our Sx, boom, right there. All right, that's our second answer. And come on. So that's our second part of the answer. In general, we did very well in this question. All right, that's good enough. All right, so the next one we have here, use the 1.5 IQR formula to determine which, if any, days receive an outlier number of views. So we have to go back to our one variable statistics here. All right, we have to figure out, we have to use our data. So we have our Q3, that's on Q, Q3 minus Q1, that's our very first step. So we have 7,000 minus 1,800, okay? And that is our interquartile range. All right, so we need to use our interquartile range, so 7,000, okay, minus 1,800, okay? And we get 5,200 when we do that. So 5,200. And that's what we're going to be using in either one of our outlier formulas. Our first formula is Q3 plus 1.5 times the interquartile range. So for that, what are we going to be doing? We're going to be doing our Q3, our 7,000, let's go over the calculator, plus 1.5 times 5,200. All right, and we get, when we do that, we get 14,800. When we do that one, our next formula we're going to be using, let me ghost this out. That's how I am. Okay. Okay. So we ghost this one out too. So we have Q1 minus 1.5 times IQR. That's our next formula. You have to know these. Okay, the hint is here. It says 1.5. So you really just need to know Q3 plus and Q1 minus to set this up. So let's set this up. So we have 1,800. 1,800, subtract 1.5 times 5,200. Okay, boom. We get negative 600. So those are kind of our two values. So let's just kind of take this work and put it here. So it's on the current page. Look at that work. Beautiful. All right, so what does this tell us? This tells us that we have an outlier because we have a value right here that's bigger than this. We don't have a lower outlier, but we do. So we could say Monday is an outlier day. Okay, we could say that. All right, so the next one we have, Next problem, we have to find the cumulative frequency. So we're just kind of adding on each row by row. So I'm going to like fit it in right here. Okay, Q frequency, cumulative frequency. Okay, so we start with our value, so 18,000, and then we're just going to be adding on every single thing here. So we add that on, 25,000, add 25,000, and that, 29,500. We do really well on this, okay? If we can just remember, cumulative is how stuff adds together. We do pretty good on this. So 33900, okay, 3, 4, 500, and add in this and this, and we get 38. Let's make this look nice. It's the last one. It's important. Okay. 38. How are we doing on time? Oh man, 38,500. Okay. So next up, what percentage of people have viewed the video by the end of the day on Tuesday? So by the end of the day on Tuesday, we had 25,000 out of 38,500. Okay, that's what we have, and that comes out to like 65%. All right, in the next week, her video only gets 200 views each day. Does the data set for the first week or both weeks have a lower variability? Well, what's going to happen when you add 200 in to all these values right here, 200 is much lower. So the new set, so both weeks, is going to have spread out data. Spread out, okay? So that's going to have a high standard deviation. So it's going to have a higher variability. So our answer actually for this is going to be just that first week. Okay, has the lower variability. Because once you start adding all these 200s in, right, you have the data set, and you're adding 200 for the next day and 200 for the next day and 200 for the next day, right? All those 200, that makes the data set more spread out than it is, right? We don't want that. We want a low variability. We want the data close together. All right, how are we doing? Okay, good. Give a situation where you want to be in the 90th percentile. If you're in the 90th percentile, that means you're better than 90% of the people. If you're better than 90% of the people, that's something like you might want to have a high GPA, right? You want your GPA to be in the 90th percentile. A lot of students give this again. We'll give a situation where you want to be in the 10th percentile, and I would say a lot of students said like risk for disease, right? Or some kind of sickness, right? You don't want to be kind of like at risk and a high percentile at risk for that because you don't want to get sick, right? I thought that was a good example a lot of students gave. All right, so here we go. For this one, we do the same thing. You want to make a box plot with this data. So for the box plot, what I was looking for is that you had an ordered number line. All right, and you had kind of some key points on here. You would use your calculator to come up with a 5-number summary: 120, 140, 160, 180, 200. Okay, so we had kind of our important points here. We had 60, 80, 100 as our points, and then we had 175, right, and then 190, I think. So our 5-number summary, our box plot was something like that. Complete the sentence. 25% of the weeks he is able to save at least. So that means more than how many dollars? So here's 25%. So 25% of the time he saves $80 or more, or at least $80. Okay, we had a lot of people that didn't get the point on that one. All right, our last question, find the relative frequency. So step number 1, you find, right, what the total is. Okay, how are we doing on time? Less than a minute. So we have 3 out of 20. Okay, we would divide each of these by 20. 7 divided by 20, 2 divided by 20, 2 divided by 20. That's the total. 0.15, 0.35, 0.1, 0.1. Okay, and that's what we get. That's our, that's it.